another one of our interviews, 2020 Design Trends. Today I'm joined by Chiara. And first of all, Chiara, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, hello. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. So I'm Chiara Aliotta. I am an Italian designer. I define myself as a brand keeper, a typography addict, and I work under the name of Until Sunday. So that's me, very shortly.
Maybe you can share a little bit about your experience. What's your field of expertise?
Yeah, sure. So what I do mostly is branding and brand consulting. I work with companies and startups to define their brands, work on their core message, and define their targets. So this is mostly what I do, and of course, define their image and how they need to talk to their audience. I love typography. I love designing logos with a purpose. And I love sharing my knowledge with other people. So I often participate in 2 conferences where I talk about my life as a designer, how design can influence the life of everyday people, and not just designers and developers. And I like making people happy about using what I design. Actually, I found that my work is very interesting because it touched so many people that at the end I don't know, and it may change their lives as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of design trends for 2020, you said that you like logos and you consult new brands on designing logos. Can you share with us what are logo trends for 2020? What will be hot in logo designing?
Okay, well, I hope there will be the 80s aesthetics coming back. And the reason why, yeah, I mean, I'm a millennial, and I'm moving toward my 40s. So I saw the success of series like on Netflix, like Stranger Things, or the European one, German Dark, and they're all inspired by the 80s, and they brought me back to my childhood. So I think if brands wants to engage more with my audience, so with the millennials, I think they need to. I think one way to do it is bringing back this kind of nostalgia. So I can imagine logos to be very pop and inspired by neon lights, or being pixelate, or inspired by our video games like Super Mario. I don't know, I imagine very fun logos. Of course, if the brand is able to embrace it. Otherwise, what I think is that what we are seeing right now is another trend that could be very possible, is animated logos. So we are slowly moving from the very structured logos that is printed, and so it needs to be always that way and never changes. Right now, brands are experienced on the screen more often, and the brand experience actually happens on the screen and different devices. So what I think is that logos can be also very interactive and interact with the user in a different ways. So animated logos could be one way to another trend that could happen in 2020. So, and I'm very curious to see how it would go. We are still at the beginning, so.
Yeah. I'm wondering about the 80s and 90s nostalgia thing as well. I think just, like a couple of days ago, I had this talk with another designer, and they said that, you would never guess that pink is going to be it, right? So I think it's because of the neon kind of fluorescence color, right? My next question to you would be, would you say that because, in logo, as you said, things change and everything, and we're getting from the structured logo to maybe animated logos, etc. but a huge part of branding and logos as well is typography. So we had a year of Helvetica, we had a year of Comic Sans. Maybe we can experience the great comeback of Comic Sans, who knows. So which fonts will be, in your opinion, popular in the 2020s? Do you think custom typography maybe will be a significant trend?
Well, okay. This brings me back to a talk that I gave in 2008 about the power of typography and the ability to be expressive without using images. And the talk was, the title of the talk was, "You Just Like Me for My Body." And it was, yeah, I mean, the title was very provocative, because I was trying to ask developers to join to a design talk. So, and so I had to find my ways. So anyway, the talk was about expressive typography. And I think, and that was also the year where Gotham by Tobias Frere-Jones was used to deliver a message of hope, change, and freedom in Barack Obama's campaign. So that moment, typography, I think, was starting to be a very strong element in design. Finally, people were recognizing typography as being an expressive tool and emotional tool. So in 2019, I saw how many websites, many applications were type-only, were using a very type-only approach. So what I expect for this year is that variable fonts will become like mainstream on the web, and custom typeface typography for brands would be the only viable way for deliver a message that is distinctive, consistent, and to the point. So I hope you answered the question.
Yes, thank you. And you bring, like for the second time, you bring the point of, like shifting a little bit from the print world to web, and it's of course it's it has a great value and amazing opportunity, right? When it comes to logos or typography and everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's also my background, I have to say, because I started as a print designer. So, and whatever I knew from print, I brought into web when no books were telling you how to design for the web. So print was always my reference. So I guess there will be always this duality for me in my work. So.
Yeah, so speaking of which, I think that the design in general changes. Obviously, the trends are changing, but the jobs we are doing are changing. It is said that in about 20 years, we're going to have like 70% of new jobs, new positions that we don't even know yet. But of course, it's most of them, I guess, are in development field or engineering. But what I think and what I see in our environment, in our industry, is that I've heard that people saying UX designer job is disappearing. So would you agree on that? And if so or if not, what are the new titles that are going to be trending? New job offers.
Okay, so it's funny. We are it's funny because in 2016, Fast Company asked exactly the same questions to design leaders. And 4 years after, we are still discussing if the UX designer is gonna die. So I think it won't die. As long as we need to create interaction between humans and technologies, the UX designer profile won't die. It will evolve because technology is evolving. And for sure, the words that probably we use for this year are specialization and diversifications. So if you're asking for a job, new job profiles that will be listed in 2020, I already wrote a few ones that could be a very interesting one. So So let me recall. So one is the drone experience designer. Why not? The other one is the emotional intelligence experience designer, or the human empathy experience designer. So as long as technology is taking its way with AI, VR, and all these new let's say tools that are appearing in our lives, I think there would be more need to create experiences that are close to humans and to the way humans actually work, so that we can teach I don't know, to these machines to actually communicate with us.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. It's, I agree with you completely. It's not that UX designers are not going to be needed. They just need to specify, right? And maybe specify to the technology they work with.
They work with, yeah.
So my next question to you would be, what is your favorite emerging trend in your field of design in 2020?
Okay, as a brand designer and focus on branding, I think what I like the most and what I see right now is how brands are getting more involved into real causes that are about the world we live in. So how they're becoming, the story they tell us are more real and tangible. So I think brands that are getting involved into causes is the new trend, like causes like global warming, gender equity, sustainability, and so on. So this will be even stronger during this year. And what I like also is that these brands are trying not to give a meaning. I mean, I'm not trying to be meaningful just for you or me as an individual, but they're trying to be meaningful for communities. So, and be more powerful. They start to understand they have a power to, and their message is gonna be strong enough to dictate a big change. So I like this thing to happen this year, and I hope they will invest even more funds to support the cause they are believing in. So I think this is going to be a very interesting year in that sense. We're going to have a lot of interesting brands get involved even more and making their voice be heard.
Yeah, exactly. Because on one hand, technology is developing, and I think that is the reason why we need brands to be more human, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's, I would say that's why you have to have story, not just for the sake of story, but for the people to engage with your brand.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. Through connections.
Exactly. Okay, so my last question to you would be, what are your professional goals for 2020?
Okay, so a few days ago, I just finished to write a very long list of resolutions, which I'm not going to share here because time is short, but I'm going to share just one. And it's that I hope that behind every predictions that I just gave to you, I will be able to actually face the unpredictable with creativity and use my creativity to beat the odds. That's my resolution.
Yeah, creativity is, like the evergreen trend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chiara, for joining us. Thank you for your time that you spent for this interview for UXPin. And hope everyone likes it. And let's stay connected.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.